Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a VR to the hashtag first five, last five that was put out by Kaity over at Moonflower Moments. And I thought it would be fun to look at my first five tarot. So some of the last five you've seen, because I just did that deck haul, but there's a couple surprises in there. All right, so my very first, I'm going in order with the tarot decks. My very first tarot deck, which has this been the tarot deck that's everybody's first? Oh, probably not. This deck cost me $14 on April 10th of 2000. I don't even remember this being bought in 2000. I was pretty sure that I bought this in 1999, but I guess I'm remembering wrong. But 25 years ago is that's a long time. I've had a lot happen in my life in 25 years, so I guess I was wrong about that. So this is the Rider Tarot by US Games, I'm pretty sure. Yep, US Games, with the plaid backs everybody loves. I had zero appreciation for this deck when I bought it. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't. I tried to like it. I tried to love it. I tried to read with it, and it was nothing. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't have anybody to talk to help me through reading with this or to guide me or anything like that. So I had no appreciation for this deck at all. I love this deck now. I love the RWS images. I like reading with RWS, and I have a great appreciation for these images and for this deck now. I used to keep this deck tucked in a drawer that I never wanted to open and pull out or use or anything, and I have it sitting out in a basket now. So if I just want to use an RWS deck, I can just pull this one out and use it. I don't that often though, because I have so many RWS clones. I have a couple other decks that are RWS that I like just a little bit better than this one, but this is the OG. Love it, and I would never get rid of this ever. But this is my very, very first tarot that I could have swore I bought in the late 90s, but that must have been the Oracle decks, Doreen's Oracle decks that I picked up. The second tarot deck that I ever bought is the Robin Wood Tarot. And I don't know why I bought it. Because I wanted something that had different images than the Rider deck did. So I paid $19.95 for this tarot deck back in the day. And I bought this, oh, it was shortly after. It had to be directly after I bought the Rider Tarot. And like I said, because I wanted something different. I wasn't relating to the RWS images at all. And I didn't mind this deck when I bought it. I used this one quite a bit because I could relate to these images. I wasn't on a witchy path then. I don't follow a pagan path. I'm eclectic. I do my own thing. So it's not like I bought it because of those reasons. And it wasn't until seeing Lisa's video and her talking about this deck and that there was a bigger book that I finally picked up the bigger book a year, 2 years ago, something like that, to go along with this. I just used to use the little white book that came along with it. I think this deck is lovely for the space and the time that I used it. I don't really pull this out too much now, but I wouldn't have any problem pulling this out to read with it. I do enjoy these images. They really speak to me because I related to them a lot better than, like I said, the RWS images. So, yeah, this I think was the second deck that I ever purchased. The next deck I purchased that I thought I was really going to bond to, and this is the first time I could say this was my fantasy self that bought this deck. I mean, pure fantasy self. And that is the Legend Legend the Arthurian Tarot. This is Llewellyn by Anna Marie Ferguson, and I paid $14.95 for this deck when I purchased it. And like I said, all these tarots were purchased very close together. Honest to God, this is in order because I had actually considered selling it, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I think I'm going to flip them over so I can keep them in order. I don't exactly know why I bought this deck. Honest to God, I'm not a big like King Arthur. I don't follow those stories or anything like that. I think I was just looking for something else. Something else that maybe I felt more connected to. But this was not it. I can tell you right now, this was not it. I didn't connect to this deck at all. I don't even think I read with it but a handful of times. And yeah, nothing. I even tried to pull it out later after, I got to know the tarot much better and became comfortable reading the tarot and things like that. And this deck does nothing for me, but I'm not getting rid of it. I'm holding on to it. I know there's one that's like a red edition that has the big book, but mine is this one with the green that just has that little white book inside of it. So yeah, I don't know. This was not my style then, and it's not my style now. So I had to actually dig this one out. I had to get this one out from a box under the bed because yeah, this one, it doesn't get used. The fourth deck that I bought, this is US Games, is the Spiral Tarot. And I was smart at the time I bought this. I was seeing if there was a price on here somewhere, but there is not. I was smart. At the time I bought this one, I picked up the larger guidebook. You could tell this one's been used a lot just by the way the tuck box is. This is old. Old. When was this one published? This was 1997. And like I said, in 2000, which is what that rider deck is, I got them all within like a year or two of each other. This one I did use quite a bit. However, at the time I was using this one, I wasn't paying attention to the other symbolism and that the astrology and that on the cards. So that was lost on me at that time because I wasn't into astrology. I didn't care about that or anything and didn't think about the suits at that time. I was just trying to get down the meanings of the cards and how to weave a story with using the cards. So I think that's why I was on a constant search for a deck that was going to speak to me in a way that I was going to be able to weave the story together with the amount of cards that were on the table, that wasn't going to make me confused. I love this Lover's card. That wasn't going to make me confused in any way, when I read it and everything. But honestly, it's not necessarily, it was the deck's fault. It was mine for just not, getting a little bit more knowledge and that of the card meanings, I think. So I went about studying tarot wrong in the very beginning. It was such a memorization game for me at that time, and it was overwhelming and it was not fun. I don't want to sit there and memorize stuff, and so I think that's why I focused on Oracle more, because Oracle just let me be whatever I wanted to be. I could free flow it. I didn't feel restricted by it. I could really hone in on my intuition and just let it go. And anytime I tried to do that with tarot, you're doing it wrong. That's not how you're supposed to read the cards, and those kind of things, especially for a beginner at that time. And I kept keeping myself locked in a box and not letting my intuition speak to me about the cards and listening to what it was trying to say, and was so hell-bent on the memorizing of everything that I made tarot way more difficult than what it needed to be. And I've rambled and rambled on as I've flipped through this deck. But this deck kind of helped me a little bit step into using my intuition more by just feeling out what I was seeing in the cards, and whether it made sense to me or not, speaking what that was, and that kind of thing. So I used this deck quite a bit. And the final of my first 5 is the Gilded Tarot Royale by Ciro Marchetti, and guidebook by Barbara Moore. This is just has the little guidebook. This is, I have the other one put away. The original one had the borders on it, and that was the one. But this is the one that's out. So this is the one I'm showing, because the bordered one it's tucked away. This is the deck that when I got it and started using it, it was like my intuition finally exploded all over the tarot. I don't know why, it just spoke to me in that way, and I didn't feel restricted any longer. And maybe because I had a little bit better of an understanding of the tarot at the time that this came into my life, and I was able to see things beyond the cards, and my intuition was more developed at the time this deck came into my practice, and it spoke to me differently. I mean, really, it spoke to me differently, and I used this one so much. Well, the bordered one, but I used it so much. It's all ragged and everything, but I wanted to, like I said, get this borderless addition to this. I love everything about this kind of fantasy. This is kind of, I think, similar to the Legends, Arthurian legend, or legend, what is that called? Legend, the Arthurian Tarot. It's kind of gives you that fantasy vibe to it, and maybe this is kind of what I wanted the Arthurian Tarot to be, that it wasn't for me. So I'm really grateful that I found the Gilded Tarot, and that it spoke to me in the way that it did, because it has really helped me love tarot. It really helped me want to explore other tarots. So I'm really grateful that this one, like I said, spoke to me the way that it did. And I still use this one to this day. Not as often, because my collection is way, 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 way too big. But I really do love this one. So let's talk about my final 5. And these are not in any particular order. So the first one I'm going to show is the Gentle Tarot. I know the Gentle Tarot has been a big thing for a while, and I didn't ever see me getting this deck. I didn't ever see me using this deck. This came in right after the new year. I ordered it before the end of the year, but I don't know what it is. I guess this is just my time for this deck. I just kept being drawn back to it. And I would see people talking about this on their channels. And I did pick up the larger guidebook with this deck because I want to read why these things were chosen for, you know, these cards and that. So I do have the larger guidebook. But the way I see people speak about this deck and the loving nature that they speak of from this deck and the way this deck is for them. And maybe I'm just hoping that that's how this deck is going to be for me. But I don't know. My time with this deck is going to be interesting. I'm excited, I guess, and this is out of my comfort zone also, and I can't wait to explore this and see what I discover from this deck because of the animals and that, which is so cute, that are on here, and if they're going to speak to me in any certain way. Is this a deck that I'm going to have to go to the guidebook for too often? I don't know. All those things run through my mind when I get decks like this because I never know. I don't know how it's going to end up resonating with me, especially when you buy a deck because of how you hear others speak about it. And I didn't want to miss out on getting this deck either. So, but yeah. So this is the Gentle Tarot. The next deck I picked up at the end of the year is the Primero Tarot. Oh my gosh, I love everything about this. The Primero Tarot is a collection of cards mixing the poker card deck and the tarot, plus the major arcana. Primero, I hope I'm saying that right, or Primero, however you say it, was the original Renaissance name for the modern game of poker. Play or divine. Enjoy. I want to say I got this from Eye of the Beholder. I'm going to double check on that and I'll put it in the description box below. I want to say it was Eye of the Beholder's Etsy store. First of all, I love any playing card that has like a tarot representation on it. I have that other deck by Pentagrams, I think is who it is. That is a playing card that has the RWS image in the middle. I use the shit out of that deck. I love that deck. Everything about that deck. I use it all the time. So I was so super excited when a friend told me about this deck. She goes, all this deck, well, she had ordered it for herself, and I was like, oh, I gotta go check that out. And as soon as I saw what it was, I was like, oh my god, yeah, this is right up my alley. This is like out of my comfort zone. I never would have thought 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I never would have thought of picking anything up like this that mixed playing cards with the tarot. I would have been like, what is this? And what am I supposed to do with it? Kind of thing. So this is awesome as far as I'm concerned. And I can't wait to play around with it. You can see that it's still in order because I've just been looking through it. But it sits out on my coffee table for me to pull if I choose to shuffle up and kind of do like playing card divination. But you know, you've got your images right here. The guidebook, I will show you that since I haven't shown this on my channel yet. So let me see. Yeah, it just says the Fool, innocence, freedom, adventure, spontaneity, new beginnings. And then when you get down to here, so Knight of Hearts, it says romantic proposals, offers, charm, invitations, taking action. So it kind of has like a playing card meaning to it. Four of Clubs, reunion, celebration, surprises, teamwork, prosperity, happy family, stability, security. But I mean, this is the clubs is the wands in playing cards. So, you know, you can clearly see that that's like a burden and that sort of thing. So yeah, super excited to have this one and can't wait. There's like the Two of Cups. Can't wait to use this and read with it because I think it's going to be great. It is gilded, on the side. And then after we get through the playing cards here, whoops. Do I have the full? There it is. So then you have your majors also. It's not real thick cardstock because it is, you know, it is playing cards. It's kind of linen. I think it's linen. Let's see if I can shuffle these. Yeah, they're just a little stiff right now, where they're sticking a little bit. So I'm sure as I shuffle more, that'll loosen up some. But this deck completely different from my first 5. Another deck way out of my comfort zone from my first 5. And this is out of my comfort zone today. But I purchased it anyway, is the Herbcrafters Tarot. I talked about this when I got it in, about this has been on my wish list for 2 years, I think 2 years. And I finally took the plunge to pick it up, and I'm excited about exploring it and reading the guidebook and learning about why the plant was put on here, why it was chosen for the 10 of water or 9 of earth, or, you know, whatever it may be, and seeing how I can relate to that. So this is like something I never even would have glanced twice at, not even in 20 some years ago. I would have looked at it and I would have said, what am I going to do with plants? And that would have been that. So I've come quite a long way 25 years later, to even want to pick something like this up, to explore it, to learn about it, to educate myself on the plants and relate it to the meanings of the tarot. And this would have been, I probably would have just looked at it and not known what to do with it 20 some years ago. So yeah, it just shows me now how I don't have to have just the traditional RWS images to read something, that I can move out of that comfort zone and, you know, try something different. Another one I picked up right at the end of the year is Mystical Tarot of the Saints by Psychic Nath, artwork by Christina Scagliotti. This just kept showing up on my homepage on Etsy. It was very inexpensive when I picked it up, maybe $25, maybe. Yeah, I think like $25. My only complaint about this is the microscopic print in the guidebook. This is so super tiny because there's a lot in here. So I understand that you want this much. I guess the print has to be a little bit smaller, but I'm going to have to use a magnifying glass to read some of this. So I think I was drawn to this because of my work with Mother Mary, because I'm like really drawn and working with Mother Mary right now and Hecate together. So I think that's what kind of drew me to this. Now, on all the majors, they do list the saint's name. And on the court cards, they list the saint's name. I don't know all these saints. I would have to look some of them up to get more information about who they are and that sort. But I like this deck. I've looked through the images several times. I've shuffled it. It shuffles very nicely. It doesn't have any gilding or anything. It looks like they put, I don't know, it looks like real photographed people that they stuck on the card. I don't know, but that's kind of what some of the cards look like, but not all of the cards. Some of the faces are they're funny. It puts me in mind of the Anna Kay a little bit, but the little bit that I've used it, the couple readings that I've done with it, I've been happy with the readings that I've gotten from it, and I like this. I mean, of course, saint, so it's going to have a religious undertone to it, or, you know, be religious or whatever. But that doesn't bother me. I mean, just like the biblical tarot doesn't bother me. I don't have issues with any of that. So I'm looking forward to using this and to seeing what the guidebook says, if I can read it, and that. So this kind of, I guess, fits, I would say, along with like the, I mean, besides it being like a religious undertone kind of thing, it kind of fits into that Arthurian tarot. It kind of fits with the, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Oh, the Gilded Royale. It fits, I think, along the lines of that. Also, it gives me those kind of vibes. So I think this one is very similar in nature to a couple of the decks from my first 5, compared to the Gentle Tarot, the Herbcrafter, and the Primero, or Primero, that I showed you. So this one, I would say, is the most similar so far to my other tarot decks. And finally, I cannot end this video without showing Desert Illuminations Tarot by Lindsay D. Williams. I don't know. I cannot wait to use this deck. I have not used it, but pulled a couple cards for guidance from it. This deck, if you looked at everything else in my cupboard, this doesn't fit any of that. This deck feels loud to me with the way that it's colored, and I love everything about that. The pink and the purples and the bright, vibrant colors that are right there in your face, I think, or I guess I should say, I'm really interested to see how it's going to layer in with larger readings that I do, because I can't go by the few little readings that I did, because it was only just pulling a couple cards here and there. So this deck has my interest peaked, I think, the most. So this is nothing like the decks from the first 5. Nothing at all. So this is another one that is completely different, that I feel is going to speak to me in a different way. This deck shows how I don't need those traditional RWS images to read tarot any longer. Really, all the decks that I've shown for these last 5 show that I don't need the traditional RWS images any longer. That I have enough of a knowledge base of tarot that I can use or pull from that. Or I'm not afraid of where my intuition's going to lead me when I pull and use these cards, so I can use that also. And I think that's where the biggest contrast is from the first 5 to the last 5, is I have that knowledge base. I know what the meanings are, how it speaks to me, and I know and I trust my intuition fully when I'm doing the reading also. Those are my first 5 and my last 5 decks, and I've really enjoyed watching the responses that others have done to this tag too. Thanks, Katie, for creating it. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here. You know the drill. If you like it, thumbs up, subscribe, all that happy YouTube stuff. And until I see you next time, bye.